Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into two words that just ignited a massive political firestorm: vote Chori, which means vote theft. It's a huge accusation, one that questions not just an election, but the very integrity of the democratic process itself. All right, so here's the game plan. We're going to start with what this whole controversy is about. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the fraud allegations, followed by the Election Commission's pretty forceful rebuttal. After that, we'll see how it all spiraled out politically and where things stand now that it's heading to court.
Okay, first up, let's set the stage. What exactly is this vote Chori controversy? And who are the key players caught up in this storm?
So at the heart of all this are these two simple words: vote Chori. In Hindi, that literally means vote theft. And you can imagine a phrase like that, well, it's powerful. It's being used to make some really serious claims about manipulating the vote on a huge scale.
So, you've basically got a showdown. On one side, you have opposition leader Rahul Gandhi, and he's pointing the finger. And on the other side, the Election Commission of India. You know, the independent body that runs the biggest elections on the planet. And now, their entire reputation is on the line.
Okay, so let's dig into the accusation itself. What are they actually claiming happened here?
This wasn't just some quiet press release. No way. On August 7th, Rahul Gandhi called it an atom bomb of evidence. He was basically saying, this isn't just about a few mistakes, this is a massive threat to our entire democracy.
And the central piece of this atom bomb? It's this one number, over 100,000. Just let that sink in. The opposition is claiming they found over 100,000 bogus voters, and that's just in one single assembly segment.
And here's where it gets really specific. They didn't just throw out that big number. Nope, they broke it all down into 5 different types of alleged fraud. We're talking everything from duplicate voters to fake addresses, all the way to tens of thousands of new voter forms they say were totally misused. And to really make you go, wait, what? They gave some pretty wild examples. I mean, can you imagine? People registered to a house with the number 0? Or, get this, 80 different voters, all supposedly living in a single one-bedroom house. It's pretty dramatic stuff.
All right, so with its reputation on the line, the Election Commission had to respond. And they didn't hold back. They came out with a really detailed, really forceful counterattack. Yeah, the Chief Election Commissioner, Ganesh Kumar, he didn't just say, nope, not true. He completely flipped the script. He accused the opposition of taking the EC's own data and twisting it, of manipulating it to create this whole false story.
So a huge part of the EC's defense comes down to a legal technicality, but it's a really important one. They said, look, there are 2 different laws here. One law is for who gets on the voter list. The other is for the actual act of voting. And their bottom line was, even if someone's name is on there twice, it's pretty much impossible for them to actually vote twice.
And remember that whole house number 0 thing? Well, the EC had an answer for that too. They explained it's basically just a placeholder, a notional number they use for real, legitimate voters who don't have a permanent address. Think about people who are homeless. This is how they make sure those citizens don't lose their right to vote.
And this is a really interesting move. The commission didn't just stick to the data. They turned it into an issue of social justice. The chief commissioner said that calling these people fake voters is a grave injustice because you're basically targeting the poorest, most vulnerable people in the country.
And then, the EC really laid down the law. They gave an ultimatum. They said, you've got 7 days. Either give us legally binding proof in a sworn affidavit, or you have to publicly apologize to the whole country. Talk about raising the stakes.
So, as you can imagine, this thing just exploded. It wasn't just a fight between 2 sides anymore. Suddenly you had researchers, other political parties, government agencies. Everyone was getting dragged into this growing firestorm. And then, a huge twist in the story. A really well-known election expert, a psephologist whose own data was being used in some of these arguments, came out with a public apology. He basically said, whoops, my team made a mistake, we got the data wrong, and I'm really sorry. I never meant to mislead anyone.
And that apology had immediate fallout. A major research council, the ICSSR, jumped right on it. They sent a formal notice to the Researchers Institute, CSDS, basically accusing them of data manipulation and of trying to damage the Election Commission's credibility. So this is getting serious.
Of course, the ruling party, the BJP, jumped all over this. Their president, JP Nadda, pretty much called the whole vote Chori thing a scripted PR disaster that was falling apart. He even joked that another apology was loading. So, after all the press conferences, the tweets, the back and forth, the fight is moving to a whole new battlefield. And this one might be the most important one yet, the legal system.
I mean, look at how fast this all happened. It's really incredible.
We're talking less than 2 weeks to go from a press conference accusation to an official rebuttal, a public apology, and now a case heading to the Supreme Court. That's lightning speed in politics.
Yep, a lawyer has filed what's called a public interest litigation, or a PIL, taking this whole mess to the Supreme Court. The argument in the petition is that these accusations are so fundamental that they hit at the very core of the one-person, one-vote principle, and that the highest court in the land has no choice but to get involved.
And this legal challenge isn't just about looking backwards. It's actually trying to change the future. They're asking for 3 big things: a special investigation, sure, but also new binding rules for the Election Commission, and, this is a big one, making voter rolls public in a format that anyone can easily check and analyze.
So at the end of the day, after all the accusations and defenses, what are we left with? It's this really tough fundamental question for any democracy. How do you find that perfect balance between being totally transparent and making sure you're protecting the rights of every single citizen, especially the most vulnerable, to vote? That's the huge question that the courts, and really the whole country, are now facing.